approach that? Because I know it's not easy.
You got to know your territory, stand your ground. Don't let people try to knock you off, get you off your game. Chart a path, stick to it. Don't get distracted by all the things that people say. And I think that, I'm.
Hey, just have one for Rob. Rob, you've built give you a break, Luka.
LeBron exposes Luka's shady ties with the Lakers owner. NBA stunned. The greatest player of this generation has just launched a grenade into the league's most sacred sanctuary, the secretive bond between owners and superstars. In a stunning, public, and deeply personal revelation, LeBron James has pulled back the curtain on private conversations and covert alliances that threaten to shatter the Lakers' future and redraw the entire NBA power map. This isn't about basketball. This is about business, betrayal, and the shadow league that operates behind the glamour. And the target is the one player everyone thought was untouchable. The setting was mundane, a post-game press conference following a hard-fought Lakers road loss to the Dallas Mavericks. LeBron James, still in his uniform, sat at the podium, answering questions with his usual mix of fatigue and professionalism. The questions were standard, about the defensive breakdown on the final play, about his own late-game look, about the team's morale. Then, a reporter from a major outlet, known for his doggedness, asked a question that seemed to come from left field. LeBron, a lot's been made about the future of the Lakers' roster construction. With a player of Luka Dončić's caliber potentially approaching free agency in a few years, is that a player you'd personally advocate for the organization to pursue when the time comes? LeBron paused. He took a long sip of water, his eyes narrowing, not in anger, but in what appeared to be cold, calculated decision-making. He set the bottle down. "That's an interesting question," he began, his voice low and steady, devoid of its usual playful timbre. "A player like Luka is a franchise cornerstone. Any team would be lucky to have him. But, pursuing a player, it's about more than just making a call. It's about relationships. It's about alignments that exist outside of the view of the players and the fans." The room, which had been buzzing with the usual post-game chatter, fell silent. Cameras zoomed in. LeBron leaned forward, his gaze locking onto the reporter. "Sometimes," he continued, each word measured and heavy, "the pursuit happens long before the player hits the market. It happens in private dinners, in owners' suites during All-Star Weekend, in conversations where the people who sign the checks speak directly to the representation of the talent, making promises, painting pictures of a future that hasn't been earned on the court, but negotiated in boardrooms." He let that hang, the implication clear. He was describing tampering, the league's cardinal sin. He wasn't finished. And when those relationships get cozy, when an owner of one franchise develops a particularly close relationship with the star player of another, especially a player they're not supposed to be talking to, it creates a shadow. It makes you wonder where the real loyalty of that owner lies. Is it to building their own team, or is it to curating a future super team for a player that isn't even theirs yet, while their own guys are left in the dark? He stopped, a look of profound disappointment crossing his face. It's a shame, because the players in the locker room, the guys who bleed for the name on the front of the jersey, they deserve an organization whose focus is entirely on them, not on some fantasy future with someone else. With that, he stood up, said thank you, and walked out, leaving a room full of stunned journalists and a digital wildfire that was about to engulf the NBA. LeBron James hadn't just hinted at tampering. He had explicitly accused Lakers owner Jeanie of having a cozy, inappropriate, and disloyal relationship with Luka Dončić, a relationship that was actively undermining the current Lakers team. He had exposed, in brutal detail, the shadow league, and he had declared war on his own owner.
People that, that cover our game and talk about our game on a day-to-day basis on everybody. That responsibility, it's just weird. It's weird energy from the people that, I don't know. But Jeanie, he said it. He said it perfectly. Couldn't have said it no better. But
it's exciting, man, because I wasn't sure you lose AD, right? Like, he's an anchor stone to any defense.
He's
right?
so damn good.
And as good as Luka is,
right.
you have to get stops, right?
Yeah.
So
both. I think it works for both franchises, man.
Yeah.
It's still.
In the hours after the press conference, the basketball world wasn't just reacting to the headline. It was frantically decoding LeBron's specific loaded language. This wasn't an emotional outburst. It was a prepared, precise legal and political strike. Every phrase was a landmine. He spoke of alignments that exist outside of the view of the players and the fans. This was the core accusation. LeBron was stating that a parallel structure of power and planning existed, one that excluded the very people, the current players, it would most affect. He was painting the Lakers front office not as a partner to its team, but as a separate entity with a separate agenda, operating in the dark. He pointed to private dinners and owner suites during All-Star Weekend. These weren't vague hypotheticals. These were specific, clandestine settings where the league's most powerful people convene away from cameras. By mentioning them, LeBron was strongly implying he had knowledge, or at least a well-founded belief, of specific improper meetings between Jeanie and Luka Dončić's representation. He was making the shadow dealings feel tangible and real, inviting the league's investigators and the media to go looking for proof. But the most devastating phrase was his description of a particularly close relationship. The emphasis on close was the dagger. In the corporate speak of the NBA, this is the ultimate red flag. It suggests a relationship that has transcended professional courtesy and entered the realm of personal favoritism and promise-making. It implies a breach of the owner's most basic duty, undivided loyalty to her own franchise. LeBron wasn't just accusing Buss of tampering, he was accusing her of emotional and strategic infidelity. He framed her as an owner more invested in curating a future with an outsider than in fighting for the championship hopes of the legends currently in her employ. This shifted the narrative from a potential rules violation to a profound personal betrayal of trust.
Sadness, mostly. I was still in shock, like crazy shock, and I felt like my heart was broken, honestly.
And then you get here, and there's a whole whirlwind that happens, but you guys start gelling on the court very quickly, and then through sort of a quirk in the schedule, you still had the game where you're scheduled to return to Dallas.
To me, teams are afraid to take chances on somebody like a Luka.
The fallout was instantaneous and multidimensional, a cascade of panic and damage control. From the Lakers camp, there was no immediate statement from Jeanie Buss herself. The silence from the owner's office was deafening and, to many, damning. It was the silence of someone caught in a blinding spotlight, consulting an army of lawyers before a single word could be uttered. The Lakers' PR department, however, went into immediate overdrive, issuing a terse corporate statement to every major outlet. The Los Angeles Lakers operate with the utmost integrity and in full compliance with NBA rules. Our focus is entirely on supporting our players and competing for a championship. We will have no further comment on baseless speculation. The use of baseless was a direct, necessary counterpunch, but it felt hollow and defensive against the specific, vivid, and calmly delivered allegations from their own franchise player. It sounded like a statement drafted by a committee, not a heartfelt defense from a leader. From Dallas, the reaction was one of pure, unfiltered fury. The Mavericks organization felt ambushed. Team Governor Mark Cuban, never one to stay quiet, was uncharacteristically restrained, likely on the strict advice of league counsel, fearing a tampering war. The team issued a firm, sharp denial. Any suggestion of improper communication regarding Luka Dončić is completely false and irresponsible. Luka is under contract with the Dallas Mavericks and is fully committed to this organization and our fans. Luka Dončić himself, when approached after a practice, seemed genuinely bewildered and annoyed. "I don't know nothing about this," he said, shaking his head with a dismissive scowl. "I play for Dallas. That's it. I talk to my team." His confusion and irritation seemed authentic, which only served to heighten the drama. It placed the focus squarely on the clandestine actions of owners and agents, not the player himself, making the Shadow League narrative even more potent. But the most seismic reaction came from the league office itself. This was the nuclear scenario they dreaded. The NBA league office, perennially sensitive to player empowerment and the constant whispered threat of superstar collusion and back-channel tampering, was forced into immediate public action. Within hours, credible reports surfaced that the league had launched a formal inquiry demanding communication records, phone logs, and detailed schedules from both the Lakers and Mavericks ownership groups. LeBron's public statement had effectively filed a formal, devastatingly public complaint on live television, making it impossible for the commissioner to ignore. The league now had no choice but to investigate its most iconic player's allegations against one of its most storied franchises, regarding its most marketable young star. It was an administrative and PR nightmare, an unholy trinity of a scandal. The shadow league that operated on winks and handshakes was now under the blinding, unforgiving spotlight of a formal investigation.
Well, my emotions are all over the place. Obviously, we had just come off a big win, huge win in the Garden. I was out. You got some report. I was out with my family at dinner and got the news. And the first time I heard it, I thought it was for sure fake. I thought it was a hoax. People messing around, whatever. But then when AD called
That's a cold injury. As LeBron pointed out last night against the Pelicans in his post-game comment, said every back-to-back for the rest of the season is TBD. I'm 41. I got the most minutes in NBA history. All right, who we play?
In the vacuum created by official denials and a looming investigation, a brutal war of narratives erupted, fought through strategic leaks and anonymous sources. Two competing stories battled for the soul of the scandal. From LeBron's camp, a portrait was painted of a profoundly disillusioned leader. The story, shared with sympathetic media voices, was that LeBron hadn't acted on a whim. He had allegedly grown aware of the unusually close relationship between Jeanie and Luka Dončić's inner circle over a period of months through a series of subtle signs and confidential whispers from trusted figures within the league's sprawling network. His press conference, in this telling, was not an impulsive attack, but a calculated last resort, a desperate nuclear option to force the clandestine dealings into the light and shock the franchise back into focusing on its current championship window. This narrative framed LeBron as the guardian of the Lakers' present, a betrayed captain trying to steer a ship whose owner was secretly plotting a course for a different star. From the Lakers' side, a starkly different story was whispered into the ears of reporters. Their counter-narrative suggested LeBron's stunning exposé was not about loyalty or betrayal, but about cold, hard leverage. With his ability to become a free agent, and with his long-stated dream of playing alongside his son, Bronny, the Lakers' front office was reportedly hesitant to commit a massive, long-term cap-strangling contract to a player nearing 40. His public grenade, in this view, was a preemptive, devastating power play. It was a move to paint the organization as dysfunctional and disloyal, thereby justifying his own eventual exit on sympathetic terms, or, more effectively, forcing them into a prohibitive contract out of sheer fear of the public relations catastrophe that would follow if they let a betrayed LeBron walk. This narrative painted him not as a captain, but as the ultimate athlete CEO, wielding media outrage as a strategic weapon in a billion-dollar negotiation. The public and media fractured along these lines. The debate was no longer just about tampering. It was about motive. Was this a righteous stand for organizational integrity, or the most audacious act of player leverage in sports history? Was Jeanie a visionary, if rule-bending, steward securing the franchise's next 30 years, or a traitor to the legend currently carrying it? The truth, as always, likely lay in the murky middle, but the battle to define it was now the main event.
So.
Okay, no, I'm asking you, did you think you did?
No, of course not. What did I do?
You made comments about another team's players, something.
So what did I do? What did I do?
You made comments about.
But what did I do? Was it right or wrong?
I'm asking you your opinion. Were you surprised by how much reaction it generated?
There's no more hide Luka. That narrative is around the league.
I mean, they headhunted him in the finals.
But it's all based on teams, bro.
Yeah.
LeBron's exposure of the alleged back-channel dealings didn't just scorch the earth in Los Angeles. It triggered a league-wide Cold War, freezing communication and igniting paranoia across all 30 front offices. Overnight, the casual, relationship-driven culture of the NBA's upper echelons froze solid. Owners, governors, and high-level executives became terrified of even the most innocuous contact. A friendly text message, a congratulatory call after a big game, a shared dinner at a league event. All of it was now viewed through the lens of potential evidence in a future tampering investigation. The shadow league of whispered understandings and future plans, which many considered a necessary if unofficial part of the business, was forced into complete darkness or shut down entirely. The trust that often greased the wheels for major trades and free agency movements evaporated, threatening to paralyze the transactional lifeblood of the league. General managers now had to assume every call was being recorded, every meeting could be subpoenaed. It was a climate of fear and suspicion at the highest levels. This moment also forced a stark and uncomfortable reckoning with the player empowerment era. LeBron James, its greatest architect and most powerful beneficiary, had now potentially weaponized its core principle against the very system that enabled it. He was publicly accusing an owner of engaging in the same behavior that superstar players and their powerful agents have been celebrated for, planning for a future super team, leveraging one situation to create a better one, operating on a timeline that suits their own legacy. The glaring, unspoken question became, is it only empowerment when the players do it, and shady ties or tampering when the owners do? LeBron's grenade exposed the hypocrisy at the heart of the modern NBA's power dynamics, suggesting that the pursuit of talent and legacy is only deemed respectable when controlled by the talent itself. It reframed the entire ecosystem, not as a sport, but as a brutal, hypocritical marketplace where every side is maneuvering in the shadows, and the only crime is getting caught.
You didn't know where the meeting was taking place. You got a text when he left saying, I think we're looking good? I mean, what did he say?
That basically had a great conversation, and, we'll see what happens.
And then were you surprised that the jury came back so quickly?
I was relieved that it came back so quickly. And, I found out pretty much like how everybody else did by a text on my phone from Rich Paul.
Saturday night. Well, my emotions all over the place. Obviously, we had just come off a big win.
The initial shock has faded, replaced by the grim reality of an unwinnable war. There will be no satisfying conclusion, no clear victor, only a landscape permanently scarred by the accusations and the stains they leave behind. For the NBA League Office, this is their ultimate nightmare scenario. The investigation, no matter its outcome, is a lose-lose proposition. If they find evidence of tampering and levy severe punishments, massive fines, loss of draft picks, even a suspension for Jeanie, they will have officially validated LeBron's rebellion and crippled a flagship franchise, creating an atmosphere of even deeper distrust. If they find nothing conclusive, they will be seen as either incompetent or complicit in the Shadow League, and LeBron's stature will be diminished, painted as a manipulative figure who cried wolf to gain leverage. The league's authority, already strained in the player empowerment era, is caught in a vice of its own making. For Jeanie and the Lakers, the franchise is now toxic at the highest level. Whether she is guilty of actual tampering or simply guilty of poor optics and lost trust, her ability to lead is irreparably damaged. Her relationship with LeBron is in ruins. Her ability to attract another superstar in free agency is now fraught. What player would trust an owner publicly accused of covertly plotting with other stars while her own legend was on the floor? The Lakers' brand is no longer just about championships and glamour. It is now equally about dysfunction, betrayal, and boardroom warfare. The focus is off the court, and it may never fully return. For LeBron James, he has achieved a Pyrrhic victory. He has exposed the inner workings and forced a painful transparency, but at what cost? His final years, whether in Los Angeles or elsewhere, will be defined by this conflict. If he stays, he plays for an owner he has publicly humiliated and distrusted. If he leaves, his departure will be framed as the result of the very shady environment he exposed, making him seem both prophetic and complicit in the franchise's downfall. His legacy, once focused solely on his on-court dominion, now has an inseparable, chaotic off-court chapter. The king who, in his winter, chose to burn his own castle to expose the rot in its foundation. The basketball world is left with a simple, haunting truth. Sometimes the most devastating exposé doesn't reveal a villain, but a mirror. And in that mirror, everyone, the king, the owner, the league itself, sees a reflection of their own compromises, and none of them like what they see. So what is the final score? Was LeBron James a heroic whistleblower, exposing the corrupt backroom dealings that undermine competitive balance? Or was he a ruthless tactician, deploying a weapon of mass disruption to gain ultimate leverage in his own contract negotiations? Did Jeanie Buss betray her franchise and her legend by looking to the future? Or is she being villainized for doing the long-term job of an owner in a league where players have all the power? The investigation will end. A report may be filed, but the verdict will live in the court of public opinion, and the trial has left no one looking good. Who do you believe? Was this justice or jealousy? Sound off in the comments below. For the deepest dives into the power struggles that truly rule the NBA, subscribe and hit the bell. We go beyond the game to the war room.